Right, everybody. Good morning and welcome. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to the Gender Equity Center at San Jose State University's virtual open house. Today we'll be going over ways to get connected, what we do, what resources we offer, and all the wonderful things that we have at the Gender Equity Center. So to start off, we're just going to briefly go over an agenda so you know what to expect for your time with us. So for our agenda today, we'll be talking a little bit about the center so you can get to know what we do. We'll be talking about our services and resources. So we offer a lot of different variety of resources for our students. And then we will go over programs and events. And lastly, we'll definitely let you know what are some different ways to get involved and to get connected. All right, so a little bit about our center. This is our mission. So I'm just going to go ahead and read it for you all. The mission of the Gender Equity Center is to advocate for social justice, respect, and safety for all members of San Jose State University's community by educating on issues experienced by people because of their gender identity, and or perceived gender identity through an intersectional lens. Basically, what we do is we just want to raise awareness to gender-based issues and create a safe environment for all of us here at San Jose State. All right, so moving on, I would love to introduce our team. So who is this person that's speaking to you? So my name is Jenny. I am the educational programmer for the Gender Equity Center. My pronouns are she, her, hers. And I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to my fellow colleagues to introduce themselves as well.
Hello, everyone. My name is Amy. I use she, her pronouns, and I am an event coordinator intern. I'm a student intern at Gen Ec.
Hey, Kiana, we're actually not picking up your audio. Maybe we can let you try again in a second. So hi, everybody. My name is Bonnie Sugiyama, and I'm the director of the Pride Center and the Gender Equity Center. Jenny, why don't you go ahead and continue? I'll work with Kiana in the background.
Okay, sounds good.
Do you want to introduce Kiana, though?
Absolutely. Yeah, so we're experiencing some technical issues, but that's okay. We're going to flow with it. So one of our team members that is working in the background here, their name is Kiana, and they go by she, they pronouns. All right. And they're also a student intern studying in sociology. So I'm going to go ahead and pass it over to Amy to get us started on a little bit more about our center. Amy, don't forget to unmute.
Thank you. So we're going to go over the location of our center. So you're probably wondering where we're located. So we are actually in this big building called the Student Union. And we are located inside near the bookstore, and it is right next to the Pride Center. You will see Gen Ec and Pride right next to each other. Located. And now we're going to be going over the services that we offer at our center. So a few of the services that we offer are free emergency menstrual products. So that includes tampons, pads, and liners, as well as free sexual barriers like condoms and lube. As well as we have a lactation room in our center for folks that need to use that space. They can just come in and use it. They don't have to show student ID or anything like that. It is just a space for them. as well as we have a lending library. So we have a library of books on gender and sexuality studies that folks can use for classes or if they're just interested in borrowing a book. As well as we are a meeting space where we'll let folks in and use our space if they want to do homework, if they want to meet with their peers, or they just want to hang out. We're also a drop-in social space. So folks can always just come in and use that space to just hang out and learn more about our center.
All right, so I'm going to go over our programs and events. So a lot of what we do at the Gender Equity Center is, since we're a little bit of a smaller space on campus, what we do is very forward facing. So we go into the community and we do our best to engage in conversation and dialogue to raise awareness to gender-based issues. So we observe different themed months. For example, in October, we observe Intimate Partner Domestic Violence Awareness Month, which is a huge gender-based issue. So we have a month-long series of events and ways for you to get connected and do your part. So one of the things that we do, for example, is a resource fair where we bring in community and campus partners so that students can learn about what resources are available to support those who may be experiencing violence. What is really cool last year is we had this amazing speaker named Amanda Nguyen, who actually wrote into law several policies to protect survivors in different states. It is also really cool to have a woman of color, in particular a Vietnamese woman, really driving this and working to make sure that survivors are being protected. All right. One of our other events is, I'm going to go ahead and shift it over to Amy to explain one of our other events.
So one of the events that we hosted all month long for the month of March was Women's HERSTORY Month. And so as you can see, the way we spell women for this is with an X, and that is to be inclusive of all women, and that includes trans folk as well. And we switch it from history to her story to really highlight whose stories are being told. And so this month of Women's HERSTORY Month, we really focus on highlighting women and women of color to just stand in solidarity and to also just really show that those stories. So we have a bunch of different events and we bring in guest speakers. We have interactive programs. So one of our programs that we had was open mic night, where folks were able to participate and show their own poems, and we also brought a guest speaker for that, and it was in honor of Transgender Day Visibility as well. And yeah, that's a little bit about Women's HERSTORY Month in March.
All right. Thank you, Amy. So leading in, April is actually Sexual Assault Awareness Month. And so what we have is a series of events to keep people engaged, especially because this is such an important issue. So right now, because we had to switch everything to online, as you all are kind of experiencing yourselves, what we do for Sexual Assault Awareness Month this month is kind of getting engagement online. One of our key events for this month is the SJSU Dear Survivor letter, where folks can submit anonymous letters in support of survivors. You can definitely view that on our website at sjsu.edu/genec. That's GENEC. We also linked it into the email that we sent yesterday. But that's a good way of getting folks engaged. We're also doing a lot of presence and resource connections through our Instagram, so feel free to follow us there as well at SJSU GenEc. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and pass it back on to Amy to kind of go over some of the other programs that we have.
Yeah, so let me make sure my mic's on. Okay. Yeah, so one of the programs we have, or series we have, is Lunch and Learn. So these are really fun events where we have casual discussions over lunch. And so we partner with different professors on campus, or sometimes we even reach out into our community and bring guest speakers in to talk about different topics. And these are some of the past programs we've had. So breaking the cycle, mass incarceration of men, and talking about reentry and what that looks like for folks. And we had a really great panel of professors from SJSU that participated in this event. And so students attend and, like we said, have lunch, and we have these discussions, and it's very educational and as well as fun. We also had the feminist porn, which was actually one of my first events that I attended at Gen Ec before I started working there. So it's a fun fact to know. And it was just, it caught my attention, and I attended it, and I honestly really loved it and enjoyed the topic itself. And as well as, you know, having lunch. And so with that, we also host different types of, so we don't always just have programs where you go in person. We also make them available through online platforms. And so a way we do that is through podcasts. So this is a podcast that was released last semester. It was talking about communications and relationships and the way that types of relationships. And this was also done with our faculty fellow, also a professor or lecturer on campus. And then we also had a little listening party, so folks were able to gather together and listen to the podcast and kind of have like a discussion about it, as well as we just released this video on menstruation matters, and we partnered with the Office of Sustainability and to create this video talking about the social and sustainable aspects of menstruation and just the different ways that looks, talking about defining menstruation and talking about who menstruates, as well as different alternatives for eco-friendly and greener options for menstrual products. And that video is available on our YouTube at SJSU Gen Ec. If you would like to check it out, it is up there.
Thanks, Amy. All right, so I'm seeing some questions about how do we sign up and how to get involved. So I'm gonna go over that and try to answer your questions as best as we can. All right, so one of the ways to get involved, especially if you're looking to create a program or learn skills and develop skills or kind of master the skills you already have. One of the best ways is with the Gender Equity Center's programming board. It's a way for you to get involved, find community, work with fellow students to create your own programs. And you do that with guidance through me. So we would meet pretty often. Meetings would usually run bi-weekly, so that's twice a month. Typically, it's the second and fourth week of every month. But we are currently working on dates and times. When that is available, we will definitely make sure that is present and reflected on our website, but we'll also make sure that we email this out as well. Moving on. Is the Men Creating Change. So we also want to highlight that, you know, we are, as a center, work really hard on gender equity. And we want to make sure that men's voices are also being heard and that they have a space. And so the Men Creating Change is a student-run organization that is housed through the Gender Equity Center. As of currently, we have a student who is working on podcasts, actually, on different intersectional themes relating to men's issues and gender issues. If you're interested in listening, you can check out that link. It's sjsu.edu/mosaic/podcasts, and you'll see that they have a Men Creating Change podcast series. If you're interested in participating in it, feel free to email them at sjsu.mcc@gmail.com. All right, I'm gonna pass it back on to Amy to talk about our next way to get involved.
This is one of like my favorite like things we host, events we host. This happens every February. It's called the Vagina Monologues. It is actually one of the reasons I got involved with Gen Ec in the first place. I'm a fourth year, and so my freshman year, I actually started getting involved by volunteering. But this play is based on the award-winning play by and she's the founder, and this is based on stories and interviews of more than 200 women's experiences, and they were turned into monologues. And so it is something that we host every year, so students can participate in it and perform the monologues. And it is honestly one of the most exciting times for me personally. That is one of my favorite events and things that we host all month long February. And all of the money that we raise with different sales that we have with fundraisers, and then even the sales from the tickets, that all goes to charities in our local community to support survivors of domestic and sexual violence. So this program and play is really to raise awareness on gender-based violence that happens. And so the ways you can get involved is you can be part of the play, or if you know you're not ready for that, or if you feel like maybe that's not something you would want to do, you can always volunteer. And that's how I started. For my first 2 years, I volunteered with ticket sales or with the concession stands during the play, as well as like helping out with different fundraisers. And then we also host auditions to actually be part of the play. And so this past year was my last year being in actually the Vagina Monologue. So it was a really good experience, and it's always a good experience to even just go and watch the show as well. But that's a little bit about the Vagina Monologues.
Thank you, Amy. And our last way to stay connected is to, again, follow us on social media, Instagram, Facebook. And a really great way is to actually be on our email listserv. So if you email us at sjsugenec@gmail.com, let us know that you want to be on our email listserv. And we have a really large number of folks who are signed up to receive newsletters from us and stay updated on the programs that we have. And that way you can attend our programs or get information on how to get involved further. And we send out that information pretty often, and that's a great way to get connected and updated with us. And with that, I just want to circle back, and I know unfortunately we couldn't have Kiana due to technical difficulties, but I'm really glad that we're able to hear a little bit of Amy's experience, just because she was a student, and she is a student with us, and her journey to getting involved with our center. In particular for Kiana, they were part of our programming board and volunteered for a year, and a year later they became, we hired them on as our intern. And I myself am a former alumni, and I used to be an intern as well for the Gender Equity Center. So it's a really great experience. But we want to go ahead and open it up for some questions. So feel free to ask if you have any. Thank you. All right, so it looks like one of our questions is, I want to ask, I might be working as well as I am in school when I go to SJSU. Is this a big commitment? I'm going to go ahead and see, Amy, would you like to answer this question? I don't know if Amy's present or has. They might be frozen.
Yeah, I think she's frozen.
Darn. Okay. I can answer that because I am an alumni. So I graduated in 2015. However, I worked several jobs on campus and off campus while being a student and undergraduate. Um, it can be a big commitment, but it really hones in on your skills of time management. It also helps you build community. Um, I made some of the most long-lasting friendships through my experience at the Gender Equity Center, but also at the other departments in which I worked at, all of which have shaped who I am now and where I want to go. And I love it so much I came back. So yes, it's a big commitment, but it's a really great opportunity to get involved and develop your skills, to build community and find a sense of belonging at San Jose State. Great question. All right, are there any other questions, feelings, thoughts?
I've also added some of the links to some resources that that y'all were talking about. So the Mosaic podcast in the chat. I dropped a link to a copy of our slides. So if you want to go back and look at the slides, you can do that. We'll also be resending out this through email, this broadcast. So if you want to share with friends or family members, you can do that as well.
All right, so with that, we are done with today's presentation, but we're definitely going to hang out until a little bit after 11 in case anyone wants to hang out and ask questions. But we hope you enjoyed today's presentation. Thank you so much for tuning in.
Oh, it looks like we have, is that my question? Can we ask questions about student life in SJSU too? Yeah, you can ask questions. Do you have a follow-up to that?
Yeah, what specifically would you like to know about student life?
So they're asking just the population of SJSU. Is everyone super nice and welcoming? It does seem that everyone has a sense of community by the webinars and videos I've seen.
Yeah, I think that there are a lot of opportunities to get involved and find a sense of community, right, outside of these webinars. When I was in undergrad and now actually as a master's student at San Jose State, although it's a commuter school, which can sometimes make that hard if you are commuting, there are so many registered student orgs. There are so many clubs, like 400 plus clubs. There is a club for everything. There are so many departments, multiple identity centers, so many places where you can find community and people who are ready to make connection. So for me in undergrad, I did like I was in three different organizations and department. So I would say it was great, but also I'm very biased because, I came back, so.
I think it's also, it's something that's hard to get involved in college. And so, because sometimes you might go to one group and maybe it doesn't feel quite right or it doesn't. So I would suggest trying several different groups to kind of see what sticks and see what kind of different interests that you have, and see what people that you vibe with the best. It's all a learning experience. Everybody else is kind of new too, and everybody else has like, new school jitters as well. And so it's going to be, sometimes it can be hard, sometimes it can be easy. So it just kind of depends. So I just say, keep with it. If you don't find a connection with one group, try another group. Just keep trying, because eventually you'll find your home. And then once you find your home, you'll be super happy.